In this video, I'm going to break down the difference between affirmations and visualization. Which one's more effective, which one's more powerful when you're trying to manifest and use the law of assumption. And I want to start with affirmations because affirmations can be so powerful because I've used them. I know people that use them. I actually coach on this. I tell people to use them because they actually will change your inner dialogue. Because whether you're affirming or visualizing, you're actually still visualizing because you're always visualizing. We're always imagining something, but what are you imagining? With affirmations, what an affirmation does is say, for example, you're affirming, I am a millionaire. I am a millionaire all day long. I am a millionaire, or I am now in this relationship, or I now have this car, or I now have this house. When you're affirming these things, when you're actually affirming, I am a millionaire, your mind or your imagination is automatically picturing that being complete. When you're saying it complete, when you're actually saying it out loud or inwardly, you're affirming this over and over and over, your mind is automatically going to picture that. And because imagination creates reality. So when you're affirming something, I am a millionaire, your mind's going to the end result. Maybe just for that split second, just for 1 second is changing. And it's picturing the end result. And then it's taking that feeling in just for that little split second. But as you do it, it may work more and more as you do it. I am a millionaire. So your mind's automatically, then it feels it. Then it comes back to your regular, inner dialogue. And then you do it over and over and over. Then you're retaining that feeling so much and doing so much repetition that your mind eventually will live in that new state. Whatever it is that you are affirming, your mind will constantly be imaging that end result of whatever that affirmation is. So it slowly will develop itself to that new state. That new state of being will gradually move there, sometimes even quickly, depending on how far of a reach it is and what context, the affirmation is based on. If it's something like now you're unemployed, you're trying to make $100 million and you're just affirming this, what'll happen is you'll be imagining the end result over and over, and you're repeating this and you're using so much repetition that you'll start getting ideas. That's what I've seen happen a lot, even with myself. I'll start getting ideas that'll lead to that end result, because when your mind starts imagining the end goal as if it's now, just like with visualization, but you're affirming it, but it's doing the same thing. But when you start doing that, you start getting ideas that are leading you towards that. Or I've seen like doors start to open, or something will happen in my 3D world that'll start leading me towards that. The more you affirm, because with affirmations, all it's doing is imagining. Your mind is picturing that end result. So you're still visualizing, you're not intentionally visualizing. You're not closing your eyes and visualizing, but your mind is still picturing that affirmation. Whatever that affirmation implies, your mind is visualizing that. And that's the only difference between affirmations and visualizations. Because if you're actually intentionally visualizing, which I believe is the most effective way to visualize, because you're kind of like skipping the middleman, so to speak, because you're creating that yourself. You're picturing the end result yourself. You're not just allowing your mind to do it from an affirmation, because there can be some resistance. It could be something a little bit different when you're affirming. But when you're actually visualizing the picture with 5 senses, with all senses, you're creating this picture and you're able to focus on it. You're able to sustain that feeling much faster, I believe, because you're kind of skipping the middleman, like I said, and you're creating the visualization, the actual end result yourself, and you're seeing it, you're feeling it, because feeling is a secret. So essentially, that's all they're doing. Like affirmations or visualizations, just creating that image in your mind. And that image is creating a feeling state. And if you live in that feeling state long enough, it'll change your entire life. It'll change your state, your conception of yourself, and your frequencies and your energies and everything. And it'll transfer you to that world where it's actually going to happen to you, because you're visualizing something. Whether you're affirming or visualizing, you're creating a picture in your mind, and then that picture is creating a feeling state, and then that feeling state is going to transfer you to that world, that corresponding world where you have those things, because you're tricking the subconscious mind to believe now that you have this. Because if you feel you have something, the subconscious mind's impersonal. It doesn't know the difference. So when you're feeling this constantly feeling that you already have something, but yet you really don't. The subconscious mind's like, okay, so this person has this already. So they're in this feeling state. They're in this feeling state. They fall asleep with it. They're falling asleep with it. They're impressing us with it. Then it's going to happen. It'll lead you to that world where you actually have that. And there's even some instances where I've actually coached people on this, where they're affirming different things, like they're trying to affirm a certain amount of money, or they're trying to get a new career. And what they find is they're running into a lot of different obstacles. And what I explain to them is, this is something that is developing you to get to that end result, because now you're making, 150,000, 200,000, or 50,000 a year, but you're imagining yourself making 500 or $1 million a year. So what needs to happen is your concept of yourself has to change, and through some obstacles or some trials and tribulations are going to happen. Sometimes those are the things that are required for you to get through and learn how to overcome in order to make that $1 million a year. So these things, it's not always sunshine and rainbows when you're affirming something or when you're visualizing something. Sometimes those are going to create somewhat bad things to come into your life. They're not really bad, but they're developing you to be this new version of yourself where you can have all these things. Like if you are falling asleep, being happy, every single night, or you're affirming that you're happy and you're living a fulfilling life, but right now you're not happy. So you may have to go through things that are going to make you appreciate the present moment and all the little things in life, like kind of what I had to go through. I was affirming, I was visualizing, I was falling asleep in my new concept of myself, but I didn't appreciate anything in my life. I was not grateful for anything that I had in my life. So I went through a pretty bad experience, but at the end of the day, that has created the new version of myself now, where every morning I wake up, it's like Christmas morning. I have created this new concept of myself where I'm grateful for everything. I mean, I walk outside, just to get fresh air, and that's like just to be able to breathe, just to be able to walk outside, just to be able to go, in my own refrigerator, or have my own bed, or have privacy. All these things I am so grateful for now, but I never even noticed them before. Like I never appreciated being able to, have privacy, or have my own space, or things like, not have to worry about, my life being taken in the middle of the night. All these things I took for granted. So when I was imagining, when I was visualizing falling asleep with this new version of myself being happy, I had to go through some things that led me there. But now I'm there, and I'm grateful, and I'm very appreciative that I did go through that, because now I'm going to live the life that I never could have been able to even fathom or understand, the quality of life before, like I can now. So living the life I have now for 1 year would have been more fulfilling than 500 years of the old concept of myself. So yeah, I had to go through some obstacles, some trials and tribulations, but ultimately it developed me into this new version of myself where I'm grateful and happy. I never would have been happy in a million years in my old concept of myself. So if you find yourself in this position, you need this change. You want to feel this gratitude. You want to feel happy no matter what's going on in your life. Fall asleep happy, and you will trick the subconscious mind to put you through whatever needs to happen in order for you to always be happy, to always be grateful, no matter what it is. Depending on, it doesn't necessarily have to be what I went through, a long stretch in prison, but it may be something where it's going to be a little uncomfortable for a little while, or it's going to develop you or bring you to videos like this or courses on gratitude, developing the muscle of your mind, things like this that are going to help you notice, this new part of life and this new grateful part of yourself. I know I kind of went off topic again a little bit about the affirmations and the visualization, but you get my point. They're both the same thing. Affirmations are visualization. They're the same thing. They're just you're indirectly visualizing. When you're affirming something, you're seeing it in your mind anyway. You're creating a feeling, but sometimes there can be some disconnect. So it may take a little bit longer sometimes, but maybe not. But visualization, I find, is like you're directly creating your scene with all 5 senses, and you're making it real. But again, you got to have that developed, focus in your mind, which we go over with different leaf exercises and the reverse course. We're going over different things to develop that part of your mind where you can actually stay and focus on one thing. And that's everything, because when you create this feeling state, feeling is the secret. And when you can develop your mind to focus on one thing, you can direct it towards that one feeling. You direct your attention on that one feeling, you hold it there. You hold it there. That's what everything is developing. That's why you want to develop your mind to be able to focus on one thing. Because when you find that feeling, When you create the feeling, you capture that feeling and hold it as long as possible, and then you fall asleep with it. That's the trick. That's the cure to everything, all of your problems right there, is to develop the muscle of your mind to be able to focus on one thing and then fall asleep by you holding on to this feeling and take it into the drift, impressing the subconscious mind, and then creating the life of your dreams, no matter what that is. All right, I love you, and that's the end of this video. And don't forget to give me one thing you guys are grateful for, or any other questions you want to leave for me for future content, potential future content. Leave that in the comment box below. I read all of the comments, leave all of your questions, and that I will answer your questions in future videos. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.